All right, so I've been covering a lot of these cheap budget smartphones on the market that are kind of limited in terms of functionality and just not that fast, and they have a lot of glitches, and there's ways around that. So this video is not specifically about this phone that I'm showing here in this video. It's more about phones in general that maybe don't have enough RAM or their processors are really slow. You know, a lot of these sort of cheap budget phones are in that sort of category. And I'm going to show you some tricks in this video on how to get around that issue so that at least the phones are somewhat usable. So this particular phone, this is the Blue View 5 from a company called Blue. They make a lot of these track phone. Also, they make the phones for, I think, other MVNOs from Verizon. This is from 2024, I believe, so it's been out for more than a year. I think there's a newer version of this out already with 4 gigabytes of RAM. This one has 3 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage, and a pretty mediocre, spec-wise, a pretty slow MediaTek CPU in here. But it's a brand new phone. It's cost me $20 from Best Buy. And a little tip here, when you buy anything from Best Buy, use the pickup option so that if you buy anything like this, a prepaid phone, there's always going to be someone there trying to sell you a plan. You don't, in this particular case, I didn't want a plan, so I just picked it up. There may be a way to activate this through some other method. I'll talk about that in some other video. It's not really the topic of this one. So if you happen to have maybe an older phone or a phone that doesn't have a lot of RAM and slow, a lot of these sort of entry-level phones right now are like that. These are the sort of tips that I'm going to cover in this video to help you out and get going. So just real quick, just to cover the phone itself. There's this one here. There's been a few reviews out there, not a whole lot. This is a really bottom of the barrel entry level product. Generally speaking, the reviews aren't great for this one because it is pretty slow. It's glitchy, but they don't show you any of the workarounds I'm going to show you in this video on how to improve the performance, so at least it's going to be somewhat usable. So you get the phone. In the box, you get a USB-C cable, you get a charging brick, which is kind of cool, and you get your paperwork, quick start guide, SIM injection tool, etc. I'm not going to activate this particular one here, so I'm not really interested in using it for a service plan. This is more about how to get the best performance out of this phone. All right, so first things first, once you get the phone out of the box, before you power it on, you want to take the SIM out. You don't want this to connect to the internet in any way, either through the cell carrier or through Wi-Fi. So I have taken the SIM out of the SIM tray here. I'm not going to connect it to my Wi-Fi. I'm just going to go through the setup process without it connecting to the internet, because there's a few apps or processes that run in the background when you first turn on the phone and set it up. As soon as it detects the internet, it will start downloading a bunch of games and other bloatware apps that, because it does that and then they start running in the background, the phone gets very slow. So we want to prevent that from happening. So let's go ahead and get this phone set up. Go ahead and take all of the things off of here. This power this up here. And then we're just going to run through the standard setup process, but I'm not going to set up a Google account, and I'm not going to connect to any cellular network or any Wi-Fi. So that's important. And make sure you do not connect to any network before you do this. And then we'll go through the process of sort of eliminating some of these things that download bloatware, and also some other tricks that we can do to sort of get a lot of these things to not load up in the background, so that it's not using up that limited amount of 3 gigabytes of RAM. And when there's less stuff in RAM, it's going to run a lot faster, even though the CPU isn't that fast. All right, so I'm just going to go through the standard setup process here. So there's nothing special. So there's this device pulse terms and conditions here. I'm actually going to decline these. And that's one of the apps that we're going to probably disable. And we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, so we're finished the setup process. We've got the main screen here, and you can see I have no SIM inserted. And I have a bunch of notifications here. I didn't set up a screen lock or anything like that. And there's a bunch of app updates which you need a network to finish the setup, but we're not going to do that right now. And at this point, the phone is booted up. And let's see what we got here. So, got your standard, looks like Google apps here, camera, and some other things here like this device pulse app. I don't know if on some phones you can uninstall some of these things, which are kind of not needed. But it looks like you can't uninstall this or disable it from the standard interface. But there's ways around this, and that's what we're going to get into in this video. Let's see about this other stuff like Facebook here. This may or may not be uninstallable. Yeah, so you can disable it, which I'm going to do. Go ahead and disable it for now. So you don't have some of these things running in the background. And there's other things here like the dailies, this is like a news app. I think these are news apps here. We can disable all of these things. So I'm going to go through and disable some of these things that I really don't really care for. I'm going to go ahead and disable these now, so that they're not running in the background. Okay, so this is pretty much what you can see in the app tray, but there's probably a bunch more. So we'll go into the settings, we'll go to apps, and then we can go here to see all 39 apps. And let's see what else we've got here. So there is, and it doesn't look like it's gonna, yeah, there is, yeah, it looks like that app is hidden here on this particular phone. It's something called mobile services or something along those lines. That will show up in another app that I'm going to install here shortly. That'll will reveal what that is, and then we're going to have to disable that, because that is the app that downloads a bunch of other games and things in the background once the internet is detected. So at this point here, as you can see, the phone is not terrible. This is definitely not great, but it is somewhat, well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's glitchy, but it's definitely not smooth when you're scrolling here. This is typical for something with pretty low-end CPU and not a lot of RAM. Let's just look at the device info here. Android 14, and it doesn't say how much RAM it has. I know for a fact that it has 3 gigabytes of RAM. But if we have to go into developer options, so we're going to enable that here. So to get to this menu, which is about device, you go into, let's just start from the beginning. Go into your settings, you go into about device, and you scroll down to build number, and you tap that 7 times. And you see this is you are now a developer. Go back out, go to system, and then you go to developer options here. And you can see here it says memory, average 2.2 gigabytes of 3 gigabytes of memory use, so very limited. And because I have basically not connected it to a network, so there's nothing else running in the background besides the standard Google apps, it's only using 2.2 out of the 3. So when you run into problems is when it loads up all of the RAM and then it's trying to swap in other programs back and forth, then that's when you get the really big slowdowns. The other thing we can do is we can see what's running in the background. It's called running services here. And this will reveal things that pop up. So you can see that I have 1.2 gigabytes is just the system, which is just Android, 535 megabytes of apps, and then 1.2 gigabytes of RAM is free. This is the process here, mobile services. So if I go here, it says we can stop it. This is a sub-process of this, mobile services, the app. But I'm going to, I'm just going to disable this with the other programs. Let's go ahead and just get right to that. Because this is waiting for the internet to pop up. It's just sitting there in the background. It's using 12 megabytes of RAM, by the way, too. There's Google. Quick Step is is the actual UI, basically the home screen app, and then there's the Android Services Library. So not a whole lot running right now. It's just this is the app that we want to kill, because that's going to download a bunch of other stuff in the background and really destroy their performance. So at this point, without connecting to the internet, we have to connect this to a PC, or you can use like maybe a USB drive. We have to get two programs. There's one called Canta and another one called Shizuku, and then that will basically let us debloat this phone and actually get even more stuff, actually not just disabled, but completely uninstalled from here. So we'll do that at this next step. I'll get those installed on here, or get the two files on here, and I'll show you right now where you can get those files. There's the two websites, and then the links to those down in the video description. But you got to get those two files onto the phone and then installed. So let's do that next. Okay, so I put them in the downloads folder, and there are the two apps that I downloaded, Canta and Shizuku. I don't think it matters which one you install first, so I'll just install Shizuku first. And you're going to have to enable this allow from the source to install unknown apps. And we got a package installer has stopped. So interesting. This is not good. Let's see if we can't try this again. Okay. All right. So that worked. And then we'll install Canta. Okay. So they were both installed. So we're going to run Shizuku first. So they should be now in our app drawer. Here we go. So this is a service we need to start. We need to have this running in order for Canta to work. So there's a whole guide here. Basically, you can do a step-by-step guide. Basically, you hit this pairing button here, and then we'll have to turn notifications on. You just follow along with what I'm doing here. Then we have to go into developer options. And we have to, and again, so you have to enable developer options like I showed you earlier. And it's under wireless debugging. So if you have an older phone that's not on, I think you need to have Android 11 or later. So if it's newer or it's older than that, this you'll have to use another method. So let me know if you have that problem, but most people shouldn't have this. So you should have wireless debugging available to you. Enable that, tap on here, and we'll hit this. All right, so since we need to have Wi-Fi enabled for the wireless debugging to work, there is another way to do this with ADB, but the Wi-Fi or the wireless debugging is actually the easier way. We're going to have to stop that mobile services process in order to get around this, so we don't have a bunch of stuff downloading in the background. So go back to System, Developer Options, and go to Running Services. Go over here to this, and then we'll hit Stop. And see if it's gone. Okay, looks like it went away. And then there's this other process here. I think I want to stop this as well. Product info. Gonna stop that as well. And hopefully these don't come back. Sometimes they will relaunch. Okay, so it looks like they're gone. Good. So I'll go back to Shizuku. Pairing. Gonna have to enable Wi-Fi here. Okay, so connected to my Wi-Fi now. We're going to go back here to developer options, and we're going to go to the wireless debugging. Click this, hit allow. Now that should be enabled. I'm going to hit pair device with pairing code. Okay, there it is, 781203. So this pairing successful now. Alright, so back to the main Shizuku interface, we're going to hit start. And you should get all this. Server started, and this window should close. So now this is running in the background. Now we can use the other program, Canta. So we'll go ahead and exit out of that. Launch Canta. This is the program that will give you all of the, basically this has all the data, the database on the debloating list. So it basically gives you explanations on what's what. You can see there's recommended versus expert, etc. Recommended is like, those are the ones that they tell you that you should remove. I'm not going to remove everything. There's also the other ones like Android services library. You say this is unsafe. You don't want to remove that because then that's part of the system. The phone may not boot up. An easy way to use this is to use the filter here. And I usually select recommended like that. And then over here it says those are the ones that are alive, and then these are the ones that are trashed. And of course, we haven't used it yet, so there's nothing here. So nothing has been uninstalled. And so, for example, the weather app here, probably harmless. Add privacy. So if you want an explanation of what these are, you tap on this, and it gives you basically, an explanation of what it is, and you can elect to remove it or not. The one that we mainly want to remove is that mobile services app. So I'm going to go and get that one first. There it is. It's called Mobile Services Manager, and it's recommended to remove. And it says here, installs sponsored apps automatically on TracFone and affiliated carriers. So all you have to do is hit the checkbox. Mobile Services Manager is selected, and just hit the little trash can icon there. It says Shizuku is required. Go ahead and grant permission here, and we'll allow all the time. And okay, and then you want to click this reset to factory version in case it downloaded any updates. Hit OK, and now it is removed. And now it's in the uninstalled programs over here. So that's the main one that you want to get rid of, and then that will prevent all those games and stuff from downloading. Now, every phone is going to be a little bit different. So some of these may not be on your phone. Some of these may be. And I would only stick to the ones that are recommended to remove. And if you find that later on want to reinstall it, all you have to do is go into this list here and then select the one here and then hit restore. I think you hit this button here, and then this little button will restore it back. But obviously I don't want to do that. So I'm going to deselect that. But that's the main one. I think there was another one I saw that was like, where was it? Yeah, so you can go ahead and uninstall the Device Pulse app. This is basically for TracFone. It just shows you information about your phone, which you can get from the box, basically. So I'm going to get rid of that, and then probably Facebook. But there was another one. Yeah, you want to definitely get rid of this one here called Meta App Installer. It's part of Facebook. Meta App Manager. And you just go through each one of these and see which ones you may want to keep. I, for one, am going to actually get rid of a lot of these, the ones that are recommended, perhaps all of them, because they're not necessary for the phone to operate. And the less you have on these kind of older phones, the better the phone will perform. But obviously you want to keep things like maps and some important apps.
A few moments later.
All right, so I just wanted to show you everything I ended up uninstalling, and it was pretty much everything that was recommended. So just scroll. This is just for this particular model. Your model might be different. Yeah, I got rid of a lot of stuff I don't generally use. Some of the Google stuff, most of the Google stuff, and there were some like other factory installed apps I didn't really know much about, and then there were other ones I recommend just get rid of. So I just basically removed almost everything that I could that I wasn't really using. And now, if you go into storage, we're only using 16 gigabytes of the 64 gigabytes, so it freed up a lot of space by deleting those apps. And going back into our system here and developer options, we'll go to running services. And now we see that we have a lot of free RAM available, 1.7 gigabytes. And of the 3 gigabytes, so only 1.3 is actually being used, and we have a lot of stuff that's free. And there's actually a lot of stuff here that's no longer running, especially all that Verizon stuff. All that stuff got deleted, so it's not running anymore in memory, so it's not going to slow down the phone. The other thing I recommend that you do that'll help, as you can see how much more smooth the scrolling is on here than it was initially. You'll see in a lot of the reviews of this phone that it's very jittery, but now that there's a lot of free RAM, that you don't have that problem. But the other thing that you can also do to help with the smoothness is where is it here? You want to scroll down to this section here, which says window animation scale, transition animation scale, and animator duration scale. By default, all of these are set to 1x. If you set it to 0.5x, that will make the animations a little bit more smoother on this low-end hardware. So I did that to all these. Another thing I did was I did not install a Google account on this one. I actually just left it without and basically signing up for one. And I downloaded some open source apps. This is a browser called Fennec. I actually disabled Chrome. So Chrome tends to use up a lot of memory. This one is based off of Firefox, and it has more privacy guards in it as well. And you can see it's pretty smooth, just scrolling through. So if you're using this, these sort of low-end phones mostly for like browsing the web, email, maybe reading some ebooks. I've got this is the Google Discover app. Basically, it's like part of the Google search app. You can get like news apps and stuff like that in here. And then I have an ebook reader. So I got this ebook reader installed, and you can see I can easily page through. No hiccups, no stuttering. It works really well. And the other thing you'll notice, especially on this model, is the camera is very, very slow. But here, it boots up right away. And then there's no shutter lag. So you'll see that on some of the reviews where you'll press the shutter and then you won't see anything happen for maybe like 5 seconds. But now that the memory issue is resolved, you're not going to see that at least on my phone. And you can see here, I have almost nothing installed. I just have that Fennec browser and this other program called Readist. If you're interested in where to get this stuff, I'll link down in the video description. I think it's called openapk.net, and a lot of open source software there. So if you optimize your phone and just get it down to what you really need, even though the hardware is very limited, you can still get a pretty good experience overall. And just to show that it can play some YouTube videos, as I just load up one here randomly, so 4K video. So there we go, it's playing now. It's a little slow in the loading because this is, I think, is trying to load an 8K video. Let's see, if we go into these settings here, let's see, what is it actually? It's actually only loading 480p, so this screen's only a 720p screen, so just go and select 720. Yeah, so there you go, 720p video. Not bad. Definitely not the fastest phone in the world, but it plays videos. You can surf the web, do emails, basic tasks. Should be fine. I wouldn't recommend this for gaming at all. But yeah, if you do these optimizations that I just showed you in this video, you can turn a pretty bad phone experience into a mostly usable experience, in my opinion. And you can basically not spend a lot of money on a phone. I spent $20 on this, and you have a very usable device. It's something that you could, you don't necessarily have to get phone service for it, but you could give it to your kids for playing some low-end games, watching some videos, and doing some like basic tasks. Anyway, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please let me know in the comments section below. Please give the video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.